Well, good evening. This is Trevor Best, and you're spending time with me with my favorite things. In recent times, I've brought you some ideas with regard to the bike, my motorcycle. I've brought you ideas with regard to real estate, and just continuing to introduce you to the things that I really enjoy. Tonight, I want to touch a little bit on a topic I posted on my other channel tonight, and it was the financial planning process and the 6 steps associated with that. I felt it was important to come on and kind of break those down a little bit more. If you've been out on my channel, Money Matters, you'll notice that a lot of those videos are kind of animated. They're short and sweet, trying to ensure that you gather all the information. But as I was looking at it, and even though the information is there, I felt it was important for me to just come on and clarify a few things and make sure you understand the process in itself. When we talk about the financial planning process, that is the process that an agent or an advisor, financial advisor, should go through with you as a client. And I always caution that if an agent or advisor is not willing to go through that process with you, you may want to choose someone else, because either they're not in it for the right thing, and the right thing should be your well-being. That's very, very important. So your well-being, your financial well-being, that is what they should be in it for, and not just for the remuneration that they receive, which is a commission or fee or whatever the case may be. We'll talk a little later or another time about how to select the right financial advisor, because there are different types of advisors out there that you'd want to be able to gain access to. But tonight we're going to look a little bit at the process in itself. And the process begins with first identifying your needs and your objectives. And within that, identifying your needs and your objectives, you've got to have a decent enough picture of what it is you are trying to accomplish. What are your goals? What is it that you want to see happen with your financial future, with your future overall? No one can really tell you what it is that you want for your future. So you've got to have some goals and objectives set out there that you're going after something. Now, the advisor, his role is to get a good understanding of that, because that's where everything begins. Understanding what your goals, what your objectives are, and it gives him a chance to determine whether he can meet those goals and objectives with the products and services that he may have at his disposal, or whether he needs to bring in additional assistance, additional advisors to make sure that your complete goal is well taken care of. So that is very, very critical to your success. So step 1, identifying your objectives and your goals. That is step 1 of the financial planning process. Once we've gone through that, we've started to have a chat, we've built some rapport, we get to understand who you are or what's going on with you, what you're trying to accomplish. We move into the phase of gathering data or gathering all the information. So that's step 2. We're gathering all of the financial data. Now, a part of it started out by understanding your goals, understanding where you're trying to go. And now we need to understand, where's the money? Is the money there? Have you started on your retirement planning? Are you involved with your 401k at work? Are you maxing it out? Do you have other retirement plans, IRAs, or any type of life insurance that's going to allow you to withdraw from it over time? What's your income? What's your current income? What's your current situation? What's your current situation? What you anticipate to be a future situation? Are we going to have to look at Social Security as part of your needs? All of those things are important to identify early on. So your advisor is going to start gathering a lot of information, and you've got to be honest with your advisor, because the level of information that you give to him, if it's erroneous information, what he brings back to you as a solution is not going to be right. So you really got to be willing to sit down and talk to him, tell him the good, the bad, and the ugly. Don't hide anything. If you haven't accomplished something that you want to accomplish, this is a time to be upfront. Because working together, you guys can chart the correct path to get you to accomplish the things that you think you haven't accomplished. And in so doing, you're giving him all the information necessary so that he can do his job correctly. Now, step 3 is when the advisor, he goes away from you. Now he's gathered all the information and he goes away now to his office and he begins to do his analysis. He's going to look at your goals, identify a lot of the conversation that you would have had with you, whether the grandkids are important, whether kids are important, whether you want to travel the world, you have a wealth of money set aside to travel the world, or you don't have any money to travel the world, but you want to do it. It's your goal anyhow, so you want to accomplish it. He's going to analyze those things, and he's going to analyze the income. Where's the income coming from? What life insurance do you have in place already, or do you need more? Do you have enough? So he's going to start to analyze all of those things. Are you invested in the stock market? How has the stock market treated you? What's your risk tolerance? He'll identify, if you had some money and you put it into the market and you lost it right away, how would you feel about it? You see it growing, then suddenly you lost it. How would you feel? All those things he's assessing. Now he's taking that and analyzing that data and trying to come up with some solutions. This is a time when he'll maybe talk to other advisors, other financial advisors, maybe some tax accountants, some attorneys. You may have some estate planning needs, whatever it is. But he begins now to build his team. He builds the team that he can come back to you with some answers. And that's the whole objective. He wants to get enough information so that he can analyze the information and in turn develop a plan that suits your needs. Because it's your plan. Ultimately, it is really your plan. So it's what you're trying to accomplish, but you're working with a qualified advisor to get you or to chart a direction in which you need to go. So that is his role of in essence, analyzing the data and creating some semblance of a plan that he thinks will get you to accomplish the goals that you have set out. Step 4 is the plan presentation. So now he sets a time to come back to you and to sit down with you and begin to tell you what he has found. Based on the information that you give me, and you mentioned you wanted to go to Bora Bora by 2021, and by 2021, December 2021, you'll need $6,000 to get there, but you haven't started your savings as yet. So in this now, he's coming back to say, well, here are the things you told me. Here are the things that, based off of what you told me, here's what I am seeing. Here's where your deficits are. Here's where you're doing well. And from that basis now, here comes my recommendations. If based on what you're trying to accomplish, here's what I'm recommending that you implement so that we can get you to accomplish your goals. Now the implementation of these plans could be structured. So it could be things that you need to do now, some things you need to do within 6 months, or some things you need to do within a year. So it could be a structured plan, but nonetheless, he is presenting the plan to you in step number 4 and making certain recommendations. Now, step number 5 is the implementation of those recommendations. And on my other channel, which is Money Matters, I mentioned that this is potentially the single most important component of your plan. and that's the implementation of the recommendations. Because an advisor can recommend all day long to you what he thinks you should do, but if you don't implement, then the plan goes nowhere. Your money goes nowhere. Your path goes nowhere. Or rather, it goes somewhere, but not necessarily the way that you want it to go. So the implementation is critical, that you implement the recommendations, and then you move into step number 6, which is to review the plans. Ultimately, you're going to review your progress and you're going to update. Because this is life, things change. We recommend that in the initial stages, and as an advisor, I always recommend to my clients that in the initial stages, you and I will meet relatively frequently, because we want to make sure that everything is implemented appropriately. And in the instance where it's maybe a 4-month implementation, 6-month implementation, whatever the case may be, we want to make sure that we can implement accordingly, do all the necessary steps. Now, once we've got everything implemented and in position, now we move to that reviewing stage and that updating stage. So we want to set at least a minimum of an annual review. So we want to look at this plan every year to determine whether the plan is still doing the right thing for you. Now remember, this is not an exact science. Everyone is looking at what's going on now. They're kind of speculating what could potentially happen in the future. And we're trying to chart the right course to get you to the future that you've designed for yourself. So it's important to come back to the drawing board on a frequent basis to identify whether what you've put into place today is still relevant for you tomorrow. So you could have had some changes in your family structure. Maybe you've had a new kid added to the family. That could be a wonderful thing. Maybe you've decided to purchase a home, or you've sold your home, or you've incurred additional debt, or you've paid off that debt. So those changes are important for you to communicate to your advisor so that he can make the necessary changes within the plan. Every time you have a life change doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a specific change to the plan, but life changes are critical to your plan. So you've got to have that communication with your advisor. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we talked about the fact that you have to select your advisor and ways to select the right advisor. And I said we're going to do that in another video. But certainly you can understand that the relationship between you and your advisor is going to be relatively close, because he's going to have to understand all of your business, all of your financial business, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He's going to have to understand what it is that you've done well, and what is it that you've fallen short on, so that he can design the plan appropriately. So that relationship has to be strong. So the person that you select as your advisor, you've got to really trust them, because you're giving them all of your personal information. You have to have that kind of relationship with your advisor. So we've gone through the 6 steps of the financial planning process. Step 1 is identifying your needs and your objectives. Step 2 is gathering information. Step 3 is analyzing the data that he's gathered. So the advisor walks away and analyzes that data. Step 4 is coming back to you with specific recommendations and to identify to you what he's found with the plan. What are the areas that we need to work on. Step 5 is what we call the single most important piece of the step, which is to implement those recommendations. And then step 6, once everything is in position, we need to review and update the plan accordingly to ensure that there's not been any changes to your situation and that the plan still meets the objective. Okay? So those are the financial planning process and the 6 steps thereof. This is my favorite things. We talked a little bit about financial planning tonight. I hope that the information that I've shared with you is of value and you can go out there and use it right now. Okay? Find that advisor. If you're looking for one, you can look for us, Pristine Wealth Management. We're here in the Florida area. You can reach us at mypristinewealth@gmail.com. mypristinewealth@gmail.com. Pristine Wealth Management. I look forward to being able to assist you in your future planning. Be blessed.